You know when you're scrolling through YouTube and you see a guy who looks like he's got it all figured out. He's got a YouTube thumbnail that says he's a billionaire. He's got a successful startup. He's got everything. And you think to yourself, how can I become like that too? And the answer is actually pretty simple. If you're new to this channel, I'm Phil, and in today's video, we're going to break down how you can start a startup and how it's really not that complicated. So how do you become like that billionaire founder you saw in that YouTube thumbnail? It's simple. You just need to start. The wrong question to ask is, what was his background? How did he do that? What unfair advantage did he have?
Where do you live?
In the city.
Do you have a house?
Apartment.
On a rent?
Rent.
What do you do for a living?
Lots of things.
Where's your office?
I don't have one.
How come?
I don't need one.
Those are all good questions in a way, but at the end of the day, they're not what's going to get you to become like him. You're going to have your own path. You're going to have your own journey. It's fun and it's interesting to listen and read to that sort of stuff, but it's not what you should be focusing on. And the reason for that is because everybody has their own story. Maybe he came from a super successful background. Maybe his parents were rich and gave him the money to start. Maybe he went from rags to riches. Maybe he started with nothing. Maybe he went to university. Maybe he went to Harvard and dropped out. Maybe he went to MIT and dropped out. Maybe he didn't go to university. The fact is that you could start anywhere, and you shouldn't think about those things because you're going to try and figure out all these different ways that you can rule yourself out. None of that actually matters. You don't need to overcomplicate it. Life is really just very simple. And the answer, are you ready for it? Is start. If you want to start a successful startup, you need to start doing something.
Ideas don't come out fully formed. They only become clear as you work on them. You just have to get started.
Especially when people are trying to start a startup, they overcomplicate things so much. They go and analyze, well, what's the market size? How fast is it growing? Who are the competition? What are they doing? How big are they? How well funded are they? When in reality, most of that doesn't matter. Let me give you an example. Instagram, the app that today has billions of users, started off not as Instagram, but as another app called Bourbon, founded by Mike Krieger and Kevin Systrom, who went to Stanford and decided that they wanted to build this app. Anyway, turns out that nobody wanted to use Bourbon, and it eventually morphed into Instagram. Same as with Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg didn't set out to found Facebook. Instead, he founded loads of different side projects, and eventually they became Facebook. We all know the scene from The Social Network where he's hacking away. And what is he hacking away on? He's not hacking away on Facebook. He's hacking on something called like Face Mash. Then he's hacking on like this thing called Who's Hot or Who's Not. And eventually he cottons onto this idea that then becomes Facebook. And even then it's not so clear cut. He drops out of Harvard. He thinks he's going to come back after a semester. And eventually that becomes Facebook. And of course, we all know how that story unfolds. And all that shows is that it doesn't matter what idea you start off with or what startup you start with. It's about what you do next. So stop overthinking it. At the end of the day, the only thing that's really going to make sure that you fail is if you don't pick an idea and if you don't start. And so if you're sitting there and you're thinking, why am I not successful? Why do I not have a successful startup? Why am I not featured on one of those YouTube thumbnails? Well, just think again. Have you even started? Because it's not that complicated. You can put 2 and 2 together and realize that if you don't start, you're never going to become that. It's not that deep. If you don't want to start a startup, that's fine. But you don't need to keep kicking yourself or feeling guilty about the fact that you aren't on that thumbnail. If you want to work a 9 to 5, then that's fine. But you've got to stop comparing yourself then to the people who aren't working 9 to 5s and are doing something different. Remember the quote, if you want to live an extraordinary life, you've got to do extraordinary things. So I think what the answer really boils down to is if you want to start a startup, just start it. Don't overthink it. Don't start to overanalyze and think, well, there's too much competition here, or what if I found the startup and it really does succeed? Do I have the right team? Am I able to hire enough? Do I have enough money? Can I raise enough money? Am I in the right location? None of that really matters. In a way, that's why I think that some people are too smart to start a startup. They look at all of the different problems. They see that there's this that already exists. There's that already exists. There are so many challenges that lie ahead, and they end up never doing it. So if you look at those YouTube thumbnails, oftentimes you'll see that it's the unlikely people who end up becoming really, really successful. It's the people who sort of just blindingly go into it. Richard Branson has this amazing saying. He says, screw it, just do it.
Screw it, just do it and give it a go. You may fall flat on your face, but pick yourself up and keep trying until you succeed.
And I think that that really encapsulates how we should think about starting startups. At the end of the day, the chances are that the idea that you first choose isn't going to work out. There are going to be all sorts of challenges ahead of you. The most important thing is just to start. I'm not saying that thinking about those things doesn't matter. Of course it does. And you'll have to overcome those challenges at some point, probably. But the most important thing for you at this point in your journey is just to begin. So if there's one thing that you take away from this, it's that you just need to start. If you're new to this channel, thanks for stopping by. I'll be making many more videos like this, so comment what you found most useful or what questions you have, and subscribe for when I do release that video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.